And into my senior year, I was a captain, right? I never, freshman year walking the door, I never thought I was going to be a captain my senior year. I stepped into a leadership role for the junior, like wrestlers, right? Like from freshmen, all the freshmen were, not that they gravitated towards myself, and we had one other and my brother, but there's a certain personality that gets attracted to someone who is helping them, right? So, and
especially in a competitive environment.
Yeah, and on the mat and off the mat as well. But the relationship with the coach is like, yes, it continued to grow, continued to appreciate.
What's the thing he gave you? If you can distill one of the major points that made that relationship so valuable?
I think the consistency and how much of a high standard he was setting, right? He did not accept failure. He did not accept or did not want to create the environment where failure was accepted or it was okay, right? Where there was just consistent grind, and I didn't see the value in it more so after I graduated. I saw the value in it than I was actually experiencing it, because I'm to say that I didn't become frustrated and I was, internally beyond words, I was. But the fact that he had such a high standard and such a high expectation, and he held you to it, right? And he brought the best out of you in an unconventional way, in a sometimes violent, right? But and certainly I don't think would fly today.
Yeah,
No, not
yeah.
some of the practices I'm just not going to go into details, but it would not fly today. But I am grateful that I went through that and came out on the other end of it.
What'd you distill in terms of your leadership efforts? What did you use from that experience as it relates to your leadership to junior and freshman? But I think more importantly now, does it inform you now in terms of your?
I think so. I think it was wrestling, it was the JRTC, it was the way that Adam and I are with each other, where I guess we know how it feels to not be naturally athletic or naturally gifted, even though now I'm starting to realize that I always had the potential for it.
Certainly did.
Right? And there was this explosion out of the late college and afterwards where I felt more athletic than I had ever been and stronger than I had ever been, and weightlifting came late as well, and all of that came in my late teens and early 20s. But being able to cultivate the best out of somebody junior, and because I knew what it felt to be there.
And so what's the mechanism?
You need to realize that any aggressive or overt act by them, especially in a jiu-jitsu context, they're not consciously aware of what they're doing, right? And if you could break through that, sometimes it requires a much more skilled, much stronger senior to be able to withstand that type of energy, to quell it, right? You quash it.
Yep.
And they then all of a sudden, it's like a shift. The light goes off. And that's what you're looking for. And you're doing it in a gentle way, strong but gentle. You're not killing them. You're not smashing them time and time again. You'll let them feel it. And then once they receive it, more often than not, the light goes off. And then they realize it's like, not that you broke somebody. I think that's not the right way to look at it, but you're definitely making them shift, right? And guiding them.
I like to think, and this is a really important metaphor, not only for the martial arts as it relates to jiu-jitsu as a senior person, but I think I bridge this into manhood. And like what you're doing, I think what you doing, or one is doing in this paradigm, is containing somebody. You're containing, I distill it down to fear, and they're not conscious of it. Or if they are, they don't know how to control it. And they need another strong figure to contain it, to take, like, I'm just going to put you in the bottom of the mount, and I'm not going to let you go. And you're going to realize how helpless you are. And in that realization, then you're going to open up to the fact that, oh, this is a lot more than I thought it was. And I think that that's really important for jiu-jitsu. But as, you know, I'll only say, I've said this on the podcast before, but like from the male perspective, I don't know what it's like to be a female. I'm not trans. I'm not, I'm not that there's anything wrong with it, but I just don't pretend to know.
Mhm.
So I'll talk from the place that I do know.
What you are.
And so, from the male perspective, from the senior male perspective, it's very important for junior males to have that experience. And there's been a lot of times in the culture that I've tried to get other senior males to take on that role. And for a long time, it didn't happen. But now I think people are maturing
Mhm.
to the fact that they see it. Like, if they don't contribute to the culture and they don't contribute to the fostering of other people, in this case males, mastering their fear, their aggressive output, there is no art, there is no more any of this. It's super important.
And
And it
you
comes at a risk, bro.
It does.
It
It
does.
definitively comes at a risk, and it's on a spectrum, and you don't have to be as aggressive each and every time, but that's what comes with the experience that you have. Like,
That's right.
you can feel it, right? There's this tangible, nonverbal communication that we have when we're rolling with the other
Yeah,
male, right?
yeah, that's right.
But you are. I've always felt this way, and I think that you are evolving.
Thank you.
So not that it's been constant, the fact that I've always felt this way, and I've seen you evolve because it's been some time now, right? I mean, it's a blink of an eye, but yesterday I was 19 and now I'm 36, right? And I've seen you grow towards improvement in my eyes, but have always maintained that status. You're, and I'm not saying this in a cliche way, but when you walk in the room, you're the alpha, right? And I say that why? Because we're talking about males. More often than not, when you're coming into a fresh environment, you have no experience and you're nervous, and there's this energy swelling within you. Someone like you, with your presence, with your charisma, walking into the room, I think it's a settling effect, right?
Thank you.
And the nonverbal communication that you offer is a settling effect. And I think to a degree it's necessary, right? You need to be a presence. You need to in the beginning, right?
Mhm.
Once they see your the fact that you're multidimensional, once that they see all that you can offer, yes. But in the very beginning, we're animals.
Yep,
There's no way
yep,
around
yep,
that,
yep, yep,
and we're doing something very physical with
yep,
each other,
yep,
right?
and primal. Yep,
Yes,
yep.
and I think that's required.
Thank you. I'm gonna I'll take credit for one part of that, which is the part that I on the face of it, it makes me fearful, and it's that you said that you watched me improve, and my ego wants to go, Wait a second, I'm the teacher." But the thing that I'll take I appreciate about what you're saying, and I want to say thank you for recognizing and acknowledging it, is that this whole premise, this whole thing is about improvement and kaizen, like this innate martial art that other disciplines have co-opted from the Japanese martial arts or Japanese culture, but kaizen, constant, never-ending improvement.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to have a witness. It's really very important for me. Thank you.
For our relationship, for specifically, and I could speak to that endlessly with you, and the improvement that you've
This is the
allowed me
Harris show tonight, so as
that
much
you've
as I
allowed
want to
me
do
to
it.
grow, but
Thank you.
the your receptiveness and so much of what you have given us, not just myself, but almost all of the students, and they don't realize how valuable that is maybe now. Or maybe they do, but I don't think a lot of them do. How valuable your concentrated, focused instruction, both verbal, nonverbal, when you're rolling with them, when you're giving them their instructions, you observing them. This is like, not to say that you didn't have this, but I think that you are far more effective now than you were 16, 17 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, and
Thank you.
I think it's because you have worked on it this entire time.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, you still were the presence, you still were this force, but you've given so much of yourself. I see it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I, um, as you're speaking, I think you, and we've talked about this a little bit, but you can recognize it because it is on some level a version of what you got from your college uh, mentor, your college coach, which was a never quit spirit.
Always,
Yep, yep,
always.
yep. And I
A-
think,
it's yes.
yeah, let's talk about how, thank you, by the way. Let's talk about how jujitsu or martial arts and that maybe never quit spirit informs your, gently your legal practice. Like, just in terms of, like, I'm sure you face challenges. I'm sure you face very complex matters. How, is is jujitsu, is your problem solving jujitsu practice informing that part of your life?
It has to naturally, right?
Oh,
It's part of me. So um, I I take it with me, right? But I've always tried
I'm
to.
sorry, Harris, Walter. As someone who's dedicated their life to teaching, to have someone that you care about so much go, it's me. It's part of who I am. It gives me so much joy, bro. I'm about to be emotional because that is such a beautiful thing to hear. Really good, really good. So I'm sorry I interrupted, but Walter and I just had this like God moment.
But to how it translates into my practice, I think it's all of it. It's being calm in the chaos. It's not communicating the nervousness that you're feeling within yourself, whether or not it's with a client, whether or not it's in court, whether or not it's in front of opposing counsel, um, if it's in negotiation, talks or settlement conference, or um, even if it's with an existing client that's experiencing some issues, right? You have to be calm. You have to project this level of calmness. uh, because if not, then I think it's going to make things more difficult. And you learn how to communicate effectively, overcome really confrontational scenarios, and balancing all of these plates at the same time while trying to reach a solution, right? And that's what I think is translatable from jujitsu to the legal field is maintaining that calmness in the face of your heart rate getting jacked up, in the face of people are the tempers are high, flaring, people are yelling, there's expectations that are through the roof, and you have to settle it all down, try to do what's best for your client, have the best outcome, while also presenting yourself very well and not faltering. So I think it's done well for me. I mean, I've had some practice with it, not just from jujitsu, but from high school into college. I think I've always tried to carry myself that way into law school and out of law school and into real world experience. Again, whether it's opposing counsel, settling the other individual down, you'd be surprised how many times if you approach somebody calmly, even though it's not a physical confrontation, you're still yelling at each other if you wanna
Right,
escalate that, right? And where
right,
are you gonna get, right?
right.
But if you approach it calmly, it's far more effective. For me, I found it far more effective. And I'm calmly and communicating genuinely, not trying to communicate in, like, the superficial way where you're trying to establish almost like a fake rapport with the other individual. You're doing it meaningfully, you're doing it truthfully, but you're doing it calmly. And having knowledge of all of your facts, having knowledge of the law, knowing where this ends up, what the end result is, allows you to be calm in those scenarios. And that is the true of jujitsu as well, right? Knowing where the end is going to be, knowing the scenarios, um, knowing where you are and how you're practicing, it all benefits, I think. But I want to go back, just I want to touch on our journey and me coming back in. And it's
Yeah, so
because
you go away.
because of the legal field, it absorbed me. It took me, right? My first job just took everything that I had, all of my time, and jujitsu suffered in that it became inexistent, right?
Yeah.
Didn't train anywhere. Uh, that was for about the better part of 5 to 6 years, right?
Did
Um,
you feel a void?
I did,
Yeah.
I did. Um, I felt overall participating in a type of environment that I had and then was taken away, right?
Mhm.
So I definitively felt a void, and you brought that back. In that one instant, you caught me coming out of that haircut.
I don't
Uh,
remember.
I'm telling you,
Where
if you weren't there,
was it? On the corner of
it was on
13th
the
Avenue?
corner of 13th Avenue. If you weren't there, I don't know if I would have come back. I don't know. But in that moment, you were on the bench, you had your coffee.
Yeah.
I walked
I was
out.
waiting for Friday.
You're waiting for Friday night class,
Yeah.
and I was coming out of that haircut, and your face just exploded, right? I can't remember who was with us, but you were just raving, and almost at a loss for words, but not because you didn't have a loss for words, but the emotion that you had, it was contagious, and I realized what I had been missing, and how much I needed it, right? I needed to get back to something, and you brought it back, and it was right when you did that was just on the year anniversary of my coach passing away, right? So he had passed the year prior, um, September of 2018, and September of 2019 is when you caught me, and there was this wake up, right? And I'm gonna make time. I have to make time. I'm gonna come back. And I've been back ever since. I mean, COVID and everything else, but and there's the whole familial aspect that I don't think I wouldn't be in my life where I am right now had I not come back to jiu-jitsu. You know that we could touch base on it with my family, but
You meet your wife at the
yes,
dojo.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And then you have a beautiful daughter.
yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Another amazing kind of byproduct of this path is really like, there's this beautiful angel that's his daughter in the world because of his relationship with the dojo, or in part is fair.
I mean, you have to be in that.
Yeah.
If I'm not in the environment, not
Right,
physically present, then none of this happens, right?
Brett says the same thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that he met his wife there, but he was working out the problems that he was working out that jiu-jitsu presented him, helped him have a relationship, manage that relationship, and then have twin boys. And he's actively in his parenthood using the skills. Like he just calls it. Go. You want to finish this thought?
Yeah. No, just to give it that full circle. I didn't come back with any expectation.
Yeah.
But it was your presence that brought me back.
Thank you.
And it was very, very memorable for me. The year that I had a gap year where I was working part-time with my dad and I was studying for the LSATs, and I was a year younger for college anyway. Now retroactively,
I remember that.
I wish maybe I didn't. I'll take that back. When I was in law school, I wish I didn't take that year off. But now I am so grateful that I had that year because I had such a concentrated experience in jiu-jitsu. It was the first time that I had over a full year of just jiu-jitsu where I wasn't being taken away. And it was majority of the time spent with you.
Yeah. Why I was so jubilant, why I was so enthusiastic when I saw you is that I remember one of our last training sessions and you did a tight waist on me. And for those of you who are listening, I outweigh you by 100 pounds, at least. And I remember feeling from this tight waist and from that scramble that ensued, I remember thinking to myself, this guy is a fucking genius. He got something that like other people don't get. And I didn't give it to you, by the way, but I witnessed it and I was in awe of it. It was, and I look back at you and I look back at that practitioner and how you were with reverence and with a real appreciation, bro.
Thank you, Sean.
And when I saw you that day, while I don't exactly remember, but I know the feeling I kept. Because it's prevalent now. And so like seeing you and it thrusts me right back into that admiration. And there's another component to this, that the value you bring to the dojo. Like I also knew that was beneficial for everyone in your orbit. everyone who comes in contact with you and your gravity, your is just benefiting. And I knew that then too. And so uh, I appreciate that, and I also appreciate you. Let's Thank you. Let's jump to this is the other dimension. I'm so interested in kind of getting some insight in. But I visit your home. I'm having a discussion with your wife. Her and I are chatting. We're having a social visit, and I'm watching you being the most loving father I've ever seen in my life. Like, I was there, but I wasn't, to you. Like,
Mhm.
you certainly were respectful, all the things, right? Like, you were welcoming, you were hospitable, all the things. But there was no one more important for you in that moment than your daughter. And like, I was in kind, I was talking to your wife and I was with her, but I also wasn't because it was so stark. It was so incredibly beautiful to watch the level of love that you were expressing from, you know, in a general context, this really tough ass person that I know. And I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. In fact, I think that one, and this is what I want to unpack just a tad, but one is absolutely informing the other.
I agree. I agree, and I've
It's not,
I
you're not doting over your little boy, right?
no,
Like, it's
no,
not a
and
male
I
thing.
you hear it not to say that there's a negative connotation to this, but and I've heard this with guy friends and in the lead up to Dorian being pregnant, um, and me not knowing whether it was boy or girl, I I never had an expectation that like there was an undercurrent of it could be a girl, but I never had an expectation I'm gonna feel a certain way, whether it's a boy or a girl. It has to be a boy. You need a boy as a first child, and
Uh,
you hear that a lot of times
of
from
course,
from the
especially
male
from
perspective,
European males and
right?
all that stuff, right?
But when I heard and we found out, well, Dory knew before I did, but when it was a girl, I I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel any sort of expectation one way or the other. I was riding this wave until we got her, until she was born, and from the moment she was born, I every cliche that you can imagine came to the forefront, right? It came to fruition, and I not that I never have the expectation that something can't happen. I'm always anticipating that something is possible, both negative and positive, and I've grown that from my youth into adulthood. I've always had this cautious reservation where I can pivot if it's gonna be positive or negative. Not that it's gonna diminish how positive something will be or how joyful I will be in the moment, but I think that I was riding that up until the birth, but the moment I had her, I didn't know that I could experience that. I didn't. I didn't know that level of
It's
happiness, that
magnificent, bro.
intrinsic love that you can have for a living thing that is also you, right? And yes, I have that from my wife, and I love her to death, and none of this would be possible without her. But she'll tell you the same thing. The level of connection that she has with her and that I have with her,
It's
it's
supposed to be that way,
it's
bro.
so unique.
Yeah.
It's so impactful and it's natural. I never felt, and I still don't feel, that I am working for this. I am working for this relationship where I need to overcome my tiredness or it's a chore. Yes, there are difficulties with childhood. Absolutely. I'm not trying to tell you that every single child's going to be a 100% ball of joy that will never
It's about
aggravate you.
you,
But
right?
but I have never experienced it as if I had to work towards it. It has always been natural, and it still is with her. And every father thinks that their child, especially daughter, is beautiful, is the best uh, creature on the planet. But I really do feel that way. I deep down feel that with her, um, in our level of communication. And I had this effortless communication with my twin brother, but I feel as if it's right there in front of me and it's almost even more effortless with her. And I never knew that that was going to be the case. I never had this expectation that it was gonna be the case, but it's like every single transition that I've gone through with her in these 3.5 years now has always been incredibly connected with her. I feel as if we're right there with each other. And it's this, you know, there's so much happiness in her. Yes, she gets frustrated, and yes, she'll scream, and yes, she gets angry, and but it's like this concerted effort that she has. It's born out of the anger that she's experiencing is because she is so frustrated that she can't achieve what she's trying to achieve, right? And she's so dedicated, she's so stubborn to get there, and she gets there I can't tell you how many times because of the dedication that she has. And I am instilling that? Maybe non
It's the environment.
verbally I can, but I can't take credit for that. That's her. And I'm I'm able to witness it time and time again where and then there's this there's pride after the accomplishment. So I can't wait. I can't wait for the years to come. I really can't.
You know, you maybe we'll wrap with this because that was so beautiful. Um, you threw out the term alpha male. And so for me, I think that's real alpha. That's you are someone who is both strong, intelligent, and incredibly loving. And it's manifesting all over you. It's manifesting in, at least my experience of you, what I see, our relationship, the relationship you have with every junior student that you come in contact with, your relationship with your wife, I experienced that, and your relationship with your daughter. And that I think that's the quintessential like picture of what alpha really is. Not this weirdo bravado. It's love, man. It's love, and it's strength, and it's fortitude, and it's a stick-to-itiveness, the never quit spirit. And you're feeling all the feels.
Mhm.
You said it.
Mhm.
You know, like your heart rate's up. You can be nervous. But you're positioned to contribute in a way that's both calm and powerful and intelligent.
Thank you, Shane.
I love you, man. I knew it was going to be multidimensional. Very good, bravo.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at the GentleArtPodcast@gmail.com or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or thegentleartpodcast.com.